Hello everyone, I'm Captain Logan, and it's time for week 1 of Who Reviews the Reviewers. We're going to talk about the first challenge. First, we have my partner and best friend, the angry, the hilarious, the sometimes angry and hilarious Vince.
Indeed.
Then we have the only guy I know with wind chimes in his room, the ever-insightful brown-coat Eric.
Aye.
You know if he doesn't like a comment because he throws it across the room, and like Highlander, there can be only one. It's the real Manos.
Guilty. Oh, wait. I mean, hi.
And finally, we have the only guy I know who can make a bowl of cereal fascinating. It's the magnanimous Review Spot.
Good day.
Okay, so we're going to be criticizing reviews. We're going to be answering the question, who reviews the reviewers, with the answer being the 5 of us. And
God help us all.
we're going to be giving constructive criticism, okay? And we're obviously not here to hurt anybody's feelings intentionally. So the 8 reviewers, we're going to be obviously reviewing your reviews, so we might say something you don't like. But we want to give you helpful advice to make your reviews better. So so please understand that we are going to be critical. So without further ado, we're going to start with the G-Man of EAP's review of a table.
Congratulations, you get to watch me review this table. Now, upon first glance, first inspection of this table here, it might just look like an average, run-of-the-mill, everyday, ordinary table. You clever you. That's because it is a regular table. But to me, it holds slight sentimental value. This table used to belong to a friend of ours who we've grown up with. It used to be in their house until they gave it to us. And I've grown up, you know, putting our Pokemon cards on it, having our video game stuff, and our Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
And Eric, start us off.
I thought this kind of just suffered from, like, bad choice of something to review, because he didn't seem to actually have a lot to say about it, and he kept trying to, like, squeeze in, like, geek references. He's like, you can set your controller down on this table, and I don't know, I felt like he just didn't have anything to say about the table aside from it has 4 legs and you can put things on it.
You know, to me, he sounded slightly unsure of himself, but I don't think that unscripted is the way this guy should go. I think that he should plan out his thoughts. He should write something down. And I don't even necessarily think that he should have a camera on him, even though I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I'm just saying if he's going to go scripted, if he would be uncomfortable, maybe he should try off camera. His sound effects are intrusive. I mean, they're so in your face. And I'm not saying he uses a lot of them, but he uses enough that's distracting from his overall goal. I mean, he's obviously enjoying himself here, but I think he gets I think he's missed the point here. I think he's taking this review as if it's kind of a big joke. And he does cover some attributes and some faults, like the table has wobbly legs and how to fix these things. But his thoughts are jumbled. Ultimately, I just like to see him scripted.
I think I might actually have to agree with Vince on that. Maybe the biggest thing was the fact that he was on camera. Had he maybe just done it where he was, reviewing the table itself, you might have seen some hands, kind of like someone else I know. Maybe knowing in advance what you were going to say. It kind of seemed at points where there were awkward moments where he wasn't quite sure where the rest of the review was going to pace itself out to. It seemed a little awkward.
So in having people review household objects, the idea was to see if they could be interesting when the thing they were talking about might not be especially, interesting in and of itself. I thought that a lot of the reviewers did a good job of not making fun of the challenge, and I thought this guy was really kind of making fun of the challenge. I thought that he was doing a parody of a table review, and I wonder if you can parody a table review. He was trying to be funny, and at points he was funny, but I didn't feel like he was really taking the project seriously enough. And as far as what it looked like, he needed to not have that bouncy camera. He needed to put a camera on a tripod and not having it move around, especially because you could hear the camera making noises when it bounced around. So not to be terribly nitpicky or anything, and I think this guy does know how to be insightful and have good things to say. But I thought that his approach was kind of wrong.
Felt very rushed, as if he maybe chose the object like 2 minutes before he shot the video. And I did like the idea of discussing like the geeky attributes of a coffee table in the living room, but I like him in general. I've watched his videos, and this one seemed a little sloppy.
Now, despite its innocent look, there are some nefarious things we can do with that, which we'll talk about as we carry on. But first I want to show you how this thing is designed. So we can see this one here. It's kind of circular shaped. It had something in there before. I think it said water down here at one time, but for all I know, it could have been battery acid. Maybe not, since this is designed for the nefarious purpose of spraying the cat. But anyways,
I liked this one a lot. He had a weird kind of tongue-in-cheekness to when he was reviewing it, where like he'd talk about like how you can turn to different settings, but he talked about it as if it was like the coolest thing ever. And it made me laugh because like he got really into the review, and it was kind of funny. Just how much he was like, and you know, it's got this nifty little trigger thing, and I thought it was a really good review for, you know, reviewing a water sprayer, and I thought that was just very enjoyable.
You know, the first thing that comes to mind when I think of a review is not necessarily humor, but what's impressive about his humor being effective is that it doesn't distract from his overall point. I mean, he still manages to show how the product works. He describes the advantage of the product in comparison to alternative products, and he's still able to be funny in there, and he's not making fun of the product. He's not making fun of the project. I think his word choice is interesting. I mean, fully armed squirt gun. That's funny to me. It just seems like a natural way for him to choose to speak.
I can tell you what I do like about his review is the fact that whatever he's reviewing is the topic of the video. There's nothing else behind it. A couple of the other people that reviewed an object, you know, they're still on camera. You see the back of their apartment, or you see a couch, or what have you. You only see his hands, and the only thing you can really look at is the spray bottle, and I think it's very effective. He seems very passionate over the idea that he's reviewing a spray bottle, which I think is great.
One of the things I found impressive was that in doing a household object, he didn't seem to be acting like he was doing anything out of the ordinary. It felt like he managed to keep all of the themes that he usually does. You know, he still held on to that theme of being evil and teaching a class. He was talking about the bottle's nefarious uses and that kind of thing. And it was funny, and he managed to do the job. While, like Vince said, you know, while still being funny and still being amusing, it was extremely thorough for being a water sprayer. And then at the end, when he like brings out other sizes and versions of water sprayers to like compare them and stuff.
I like the fact too he seemed to have invested interest in what he was reviewing.
Yeah, and the ones that I found to be the strongest on this were the ones who made it personal. Did you notice he sports his cat and his wife in the same video?
He calls his wife.
He's a very great man.
Well, he's evil.
I think this was the most in-depth of the object reviews, and actually reminded me of a lot of action figure reviews. You know, it's right up in the camera. He's taking it apart here and there. I mean, he obviously, you know, took a negative and turned it into a positive using, you know, what he brings to the table, you know, so to speak. And I also liked his sense of humor is rather subtle the way he uses it.
Can I add one more thing?
Okay, go ahead.
To tack something on to what Review Spot was saying, you know, yeah, we do focus just on the object, but he has a lot of personality in his hands. The way he would move his fingers and the way he would gesture, I think it's something akin to the way somebody would raise their eyebrows. I mean, it's fascinating.
Legendary is the food consumed by all manner of being for eons upon eons. Even more legendary still is its most popular utensil, the fork. A near ubiquitous tool, proprietor of etiquette and decency. What manner of cuisine has not been affected by this stately instrument? Meats, vegetables, cakes, pies, flans, casseroles.
All right, this was one of two videos that it's not a review. It's a good video. It's an entertaining video. I have no idea whether what he says in the video is the actual history of the fork, because I don't know the history of the fork. I didn't feel like he was actually reviewing the fork. He was just giving the history of the fork. When we get down to the end, I'm not sure if I should take points off because it was an enjoyable video but not a review.
I did mention the point of the challenge being to see if you can be interesting when the thing that you're doing isn't necessarily interesting by itself. So I think he might have interpreted that as doing a review is not as important as being entertaining.
Well, it was definitely entertaining. So I'll give him that one. It was just I thought it
I'm
was
not
strange
saying that's
that it
good
was-
or bad, but I
Yeah.
think that's just the direction he decided to go with it. Yeah.
I think this guy is extremely clever. I think the video is well made, and I think the video had effective showmanship as well as I think this guy is an effective showman. I think that part of his deal is that he's more comfortable reviewing things that have events, that have a narrative. So what he ended up doing was creating a way to cope. So he created this event reel, this narrative for him to relay to his audience. I mean, he had no pros, he had no cons, he had no opinion essentially, and the video is highly enjoyable, but it wasn't a review.
Sorry, I was just finished up on a marshmallow.
Can I have one?
No.
Shove it through your.
Aw.
Um, it was an awkward video because I wasn't sure how I was enjoying it. If I was to watch it on a Comedy Central station, or if I was watching it in a school, kind of like as a public service announcement, I found it very enjoyable. From a personal end of it, I don't know if I don't feel like he was really reviewing something of his as much as he was putting on a presentation.
It would have been a better approach had he chosen a fork and not the fork.
If I can say it this way, I found it was professionally cold. And with that, I'm gonna have another marshmallow.
The guy is such a good writer. He's got excellent word choice. He's got this passion for history, and I think once we give him the reins a little bit and let him review what he's used to reviewing, he's going to shine. But yeah, I think he wasn't sure how to approach this because he's not used to reviewing objects.
I have to say this is my favorite. If I can say that already, I agree. I think he did kind of stretch the boundaries of what the rules were. He didn't take a specific fork out of his kitchen, and he kind of turned it into a retrospective with a lot of humor. It's very well edited, and it made me laugh a lot, actually. You know, partly a parody of the not just newsreels in general, but I think he used the newsreel sequence in Citizen Kane as sort of a mild matter of fact. I even recognized 2 shots from that.
He credits them in the info.
Watch this review here, and if you're anything like me, you've probably been seeing these Pepsi things all over the place, which apparently is a throwback to the good old days when they used to make them with real sugar. Wait, what? What the hell does this mean with real sugar? And why is it only for a limited time? If they don't use sugar in normal Pepsi, what the hell do they use? Sugar babies? Sugar bugs? Sugar man? Oh yeah! You know, because that's what they do with the Kool-Aid man. So this question's been like bugging me for a week, so I finally Googled it up and I found us an answer. Now if you look through the list of ingredients, there's one ingredient missing, and that would be high fructose corn syrup.
I really didn't care for this one. I can't specifically put my finger on what it was. I just felt like, first of all, he kept talking about like his gaseous problems and like stomach, and it just felt like he wasn't. It was kind of personal because he was like, well, this soda makes me feel this way. But I don't know. I didn't feel like he was really giving like a critical analysis of this soda. He was, I don't know. It felt more like he was just kind of like talking about the soda as opposed to reviewing it.
I feel like what he's asking us to do is to take the Pepsi challenge. You know, the funny thing is a lot of the stuff that he says, I agree with. I mean, high fructose corn syrup versus sugar. I mean, but he does give some pros and some cons to it. But it seems like personal pros and cons. It's not so much a review of the product as it is just this is the way it makes me feel. And it seems more like a personal blog than it does a review.
I was a little torn on this one because you kind of, the way the video, at least the challenge, what I was thinking it was set up as it was a everyday household item. And I don't really see Pepsi as an item that's probably in everybody's house that they can right off the bat compare it. It's a shame he didn't review something that was more common, like, you know, I don't want to say a spoon because the guy did a fork, but, you know, something that everybody probably has. And
You're
to
thinking
me,
marshmallow, aren't you?
I'm not even thinking. Well, now that you've mentioned it,
I just thought he was kind of lacking enthusiasm, and it was a little bit ranty. I don't know. I could have been very much okay with the choice itself had I thought that it was a little bit more streamlined and it was a little bit more a little bit more enjoyable to watch.